The other day when I was streaming, which by the way is 7 p.m. EST every Saturday on twitch.tv/acottonsock, 2Ks in sock, my chat brought to my attention that there are so many references to Twilight in Moonlight Falls, like literal copy and paste. I think it's really nice that in the pack that contains so many supernaturals, EA went out of their way and decided to pay homage to Twilight. You gotta remember, when Supernatural came out in the early 2010s, Twilight was at its peak. It was everywhere. From someone who was a kid at the time, I remember distinctly going to the mall and seeing Bella and Edward merchandise everywhere. I even had a bookmark with Bella and Edward's face on it, had like a little tassel hanging off of it. I still have it to this day and I use it to mark up my book, so if I can find a photo, I'll insert it right here. Because recently there's been a revival to Twilight due to Stephenie Meyer's release of Midnight Sun, which is Twilight but from Edward's perspective if you haven't heard of it. I thought, what better time to make a video showing off all EA's little details and the homage they paid to Twilight via Moonlight Falls, which comes with the Sims 3 Supernatural expansion pack. Let's get right into some Twilight talk, my favorite sort of talk. First and foremost, the most obvious thing is the quote-unquote Swain family. The Swain family, which is obviously based off of the Swan family, which is Charlie and Bella in Twilight, lives at 120 Wood Street. Their family bio reads, "New to Moonlight Falls, Chester Swain came in the hopes of providing a better life for his daughter Bailey." Okay, Bailey, not Bella, Bailey, who he raised alone. She's his whole world and he loves her very much, even if he can be a little overprotective. Despite the time they've spent together, Chester is somehow unaware of Bailey's fanatical obsession with the supernatural. Can Chester find a way to protect his daughter from her own curiosity? I'm sure, as you can tell, this is literally the first book's plot concerning Charlie. He's trying to keep Bella away from Edward in the Twilight books. But diving a little bit deeper into the characters Chester and Bailey, Charlie and Bella respectively. In the household, there's Chester Swain. Chester has 5 points in athleticism, which is probably due to his employment in the law enforcement career, and 2 in logic. He also likes fishing, he's level 9 in law enforcement, and he's a single father. All like his Twilight counterpart, Charlie. Chester's bio reads, "In his short time in town, Chester feels as though he chose the perfect little burg in which to raise his daughter. But if Chester didn't know any better, he'd say there was something funny going on in Moonlight Falls. What a place to raise an impressionable young daughter, especially one who keeps reading all those vampire and werewolf books." Chester thinks it's just a typical act of teenage rebellion, and though he worries at times, Chester is determined to protect his daughter so she grows up to lead a wholesome life. Once again, this very much so parallels Charlie's story in Twilight. Obviously, in the beginning of the Twilight series, Charlie is living in blissful ignorance that there is a whole world of vampires and werewolves out in the Twilight universe. And just like in The Sims 3, it appears that Chester is also ignorant that there are actually werewolves and vampires, among other supernaturals, living in the town that he is a cop in. So the town that he protects, he also doesn't know that these supernaturals exist, which I think is really cool that they kind of hit the nail on the head with the parallel between Twilight and Moonlight Falls in that respect, how he is completely ignorant to the fact that there are just these supernaturals roaming around the town. So the other half of the household that I'm sure everyone will recognize is the woman, the myth, the legend herself, Bailey Swain. Obviously, she's copy-paste Bella Swan. She bears heavy resemblance to movie Bella Swan, aka Kristen Stewart, the actress who played Bella. Honestly, they did a really, really good job making Kristen Stewart in The Sims 3. Like, it looks so close to her. Mind you, when EA made Bailey Swain, they did not have any sliders, they did not have any CC, so imagine if you threw some CC on Bailey Swain. I would imagine you would already just have a Kristen Stewart sim, because she already bears so much resemblance to Kristen Stewart. I'm really perplexed how they made such a accurate Kristen Stewart sim when I can't even make myself in The Sims. Like, it's wild that they did such a good job. Not only does she bear heavy resemblance to Bella, but Bailey's sort of personality and her traits perfectly line up with Bella's personality in Twilight. In The Sims 3, Bailey is a loner, a Supernatural fan, and honestly saying she's a Supernatural fan is kind of an understatement. Bailey is clumsy and she's a light sleeper. I don't quite understand the last trait, light sleeper, but if I had to guess, I think it'd be because Bella is always waking up quite easily when Edward is just standing over her bed and watching her sleep. She has like some intuition that Edward is just standing in her room watching her sleep. It's insane how easy Bella wakes up in Twilight. And this is something really cool. The game developers went so far as to give Bailey the same exact zodiac sign, which is Virgo, just like Bella Swan from Twilight. And if you're wondering, something really cool is that Chester Swain's sign actually matches up with Billy Burke, who plays Charlie Swan in the Twilight movies. EA seriously did not fuck around when they were making these Sims. They did some research. Bailey's bio is, while out in the woods on a typical dull Moonlight Falls day, Bailey came across a vampire. Her initial thought, this is the best town ever. For Bailey, it's like something right out of her favorite fantasy novel. Imagine getting to know actual vampires, werewolves, and fairies. At first, she wanted anything but to move to Moonlight Falls, but now she never wants to leave. In a place like this, even a plain, clumsy girl like her can make a love connection one of these fantastic Sims, right? Well, if her dad Chester ever leaves her alone for 2 seconds, that is. Now let's talk about the house, because despite the Sims bearing so much resemblance to their movie counterparts, I think the house is more noteworthy than anything because, wow, EA took some freaking time and dedication when they made this house to make it movie accurate. I'm gonna show you guys what the actual Swan house looks like in Forks, Washington, where they shot the Twilight movie. And then I'm gonna show you guys EA's rendition of it. They did such a good job staying true to the source material, and I love that so much. I really love how in The Sims 3, they weren't afraid to spoof contemporary pop culture. The references to pop culture are honestly one of the highlights to all the Sims games for me. And this is a really cool detail, but moreover, the bedding on Bailey's bed in the Sim house is actually the same exact comforter, design and styling and color that Bella has on her bed in the movie. Guys, they went as far as to match Bella's movie comforter with her Sims comforter, guys. The details, the freaking details. Now, you may say to me, okay, well, is that it? Is that as far as the Twilight references go in Moonlight Falls? And to that, my friend that asks questions that are exactly on my mind, I'd say nope, because what would this be without an Edward reference? And that is exactly what local cute vampire boy Tristan Van Gold is for. Tristan Van Gold. Even before, when I used to play Moonlight Falls as a young kid, I'd always have my self-sim pursue Tristan because he's handsome, he's rich, he's a handsome rich vampire, you know? Anyway, Tristan's bio states, taking after his father, Tristan is very polite and more than a little stubborn. Unlike his dad though, Tristan has a strong romantic streak in him and he often stays up late composing love ballads on his guitar. Remember that, because we're gonna come back to that. He hopes to be a world famous musician someday. Although he has had many first dates, it's getting to that second date that's always eluded him. He might seem quiet or even brooding to most, but Tristan knows he's just saving up his most powerful emotions for that one special sim. Like Edward, he has a possible human love interest and enjoys staying up late to play an instrument, a guitar for Tristan, and in the Twilight movie, if you recall, Edward can play piano. Both Tristan and Edward are brooding vampires. We all know that the whole story of Twilight literally revolves around Edward being angsty and moody. And what's even cooler is that Tristan is a vegetarian and Edward is also a vegetarian, meaning a vampire that does not drink human blood in the Twilight universe. Tristan's traits are brooding, vegetarian, flirty, and virtuoso, which I'd say fit Edward pretty closely. If you've noticed, there's one supernatural we have yet to cover in this video. Let's see, we've done humans, we've done vampires. Right, the werewolves. Now, there is no straight up direct reference to Jacob. As far as I know, I mean, there is a sim named Waylon Wolf, but I would say that's really reaching. I mean, they don't even look similar, and Waylon's traits really do not go with book/movie Jacob at all, so I'm not even gonna mention that. But there is a sort of reference to Jacob's dad, Billy Black. Now, this is the biggest reach in this entire video, so take what I'm saying here with a grain of salt. But in the town, there is a sim called Papi Wolf. Papi's bio states he's the leader and the oldest wolf in the entire town. I mean, look at his last name, it literally has wolf in it. Back to his bio, it states that Papi is the oldest and rowdiest of the wolves, and that's saying something. Papi's home, referred to by some as the Pound, isn't the nicest or neatest residence in town, but there's always a party going on, even if it's just Papi. He's never felt comfortable around anything that he considers high tech and is happiest out in the woods. But nothing brings a twinkle in his eye like seeing his grandchildren and hunting as a pack with them. Papi is insane, a technophobe, loves the outdoors, party animal, and an angler. So as you can tell, does not at all resemble Billy Black, Jacob's dad, from Twilight. They're like two totally different people with separate personalities. But looking at this with the lens of Twilight, you'd think Chester, which is Bella's sim dad, and Papi would be best friends because Charlie and Billy, the two characters the Sims are based on in the Twilight universe, are best friends, right? Completely and utterly wrong. That's why I'm saying this is a big reach. In The Sims 3, Chester and Papi are sworn enemies, which is why I think Papi is a bit of a reach to try and make him out to be like he's a direct reference to Billy Black from Twilight. The Sims wiki actually states that he could be in reference to Jackson Hervaux from True Blood, which is yet another vampire show that consumed a lot of my childhood. As in True Blood, Jackson Hervaux has a very similar, like, erratic, insane personality type as Papi, and he's also a werewolf in True Blood. Anyways, so that goes to show that there isn't really any Jacob or Billy Black sort of character werewolf love interest. What is of note though is that the Wolf family is actually feuding with the Van Gold family, which I guess you could kind of make the connection that Waylon Wolf and Tristan Van Gold are sort of Edward and Jacob in that respect, but I think that's more to do with the fact that their supernatural families are feuding at each other rather than those two in specific. Also, Waylon Wolf's name is a pun on the expression lone wolf. Waylon Wolf, Lone Wolf. It kind of works, I guess. Anyways, guys, that is my coverage on how EA literally recreated Twilight in the Sims 3 Supernatural world of Moonlight Falls. I really want to thank my Twitch chat for bringing this to my attention. This video would not exist without you guys, so shout out to you guys. I'm actually gonna go and play Bailey and Chester after I edit this video because I'm like really wanting to play out Bailey's story now that I know she's a direct reference to Bella. I just think that that is so interesting. But I would like to know who your guys' favorite sim in this whole debacle is. Are you a Bailey Swain fan? Are you a Chester Swain fan? Are you a Tristan Van Gold stan? Are you a Papi Wolf stan? Are you a Waylon stan? Personally, I think I have to say I really love Tristan Venegold, and I think it's just because I have like so many childhood memories of having my sim marry Tristan. But I hope you guys did enjoy this sort of like sim fact video, and I just think it's a really cool pop culture reference that we now have memorialized in The Sims 3, which I think is so cool. I also have another video on my channel telling you guys about a Sunset Valley sim that the Sims team actually took a lot of care and dedication into perfectly crafting her bio and changing her inventory items to sort of match and parallel what her storyline is supposed to be. I'll put a card in the top right where you can check out that video, but I will catch you guys all in the next one, and peace out.